Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Good evening. I'm happy and glad that you could join us tonight. My name is Linda Talam and welcome to Sista Talk. Tonight's show is going to be interesting because we are going to discuss clinical nutrition and weight loss. What is the importance of nutrition in our journey of, weight gain, how to lose, how to, I know one of these days we'll do one for people who want to add weight. So I'd like to invite you to join us on both our social media platforms, that is Facebook and YouTube. Engage us, send us your questions. We'll be sure to ask them at the tail end of the show. Also tell us where you're watching us tonight from so that we can appreciate you. Please invite your friends, your co-workers, anyone in your family who is maybe struggling or in need of losing weight and they have been seeking information. And internet social media has been confusing them on what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, all those things that revolve around nutrition. So once again, welcome. Here is Sista Talk, and tell us where you're watching us from. So we are going to answer the question, what is clinical nutrition tonight? Of course, in the recent past, there has been trends of obesity, weight gain, and some of the hormonal issues and changes that women face that is affecting them in terms of weight gain. There are things like PCOS, fibroids, and all these diseases, which are somewhat called lifestyle diseases that are affecting so many people. So how can you as a person be able to live a life that is balanced, a life that is well, a life that is, you feel you can walk up the stairs and come down without feeling so much pressure on yourself? So tonight, tell us, join us and, help us know. Tonight, we believe we'll offer solutions to some of your questions. Please key them in, invite your friends, tell us where you're watching us from once again so that we can be able to answer your questions at the end of the show. So tonight, we have an expert in this area. She's called Banice Kendi. She's a clinical nutritionist and a total wellness coach. She's also a published author on nutrition. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Yeah.
I'm really excited that you've invited me today, and I believe that you have a good time with the viewers as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Maybe you could tell us how long you've practiced nutrition?
I've been in nutrition practice for 11 years, practicing in Upper Hill and Westlands.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where our offices are located. Yeah, and clinical nutrition to me, I always feel like it's a passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I will do when I'm asleep. If I wake up, if I don't have money, the only thing I'll just think of is nutrition.
Yeah.
If I have money, is nutrition.
Yeah.
And I just say that this is a passion to me. So I'm very passionate about helping people to achieve their total wellness journey, because we say this life of weight loss is not a competition.
Yeah.
It is a journey.
Yeah. 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 So it's not something you will, we have online coaches who say within 1 week you'll notice a significant change on your waist, especially for the ladies.
First of all, looking into clinical nutrition, just try to understand it in a very simple perspective, because I'm sure we are dealing with all manner of viewers. So it's very also important. I give them just a very simple explanation that clinical nutrition is very different from any other type of nutrition that people do online. And when somebody says we are supposed to take juices, we are supposed to do detoxing for 7 days, we are supposed to take a supplement and reduce weight in 14 days. Those are not clinical nutritionists. They are, let me say in quotes, online nutritionists. And in most cases, when you talk of clinical nutrition, you have to deal with the disease. You have to ensure that you have the diagnosis of a client. Now, for a client to come see you as a clinical nutritionist means that there are those, you know, you've studied pharmacology, you studied biochemistry, you've studied anatomy. I remember even sometimes you used to be in class with doctors, and we could share some classes with the pharmacist, and also some classes with the nurses. And the only place where we were not sharing is when we start talking about food. So when they go to surgery, and now as we start learning about food to treat diseases, now that classifies clinical nutrition, because you have to study the disease progression, you get to know the diagnosis as well, and you have to understand the root cause of every condition.
So is that now what defines clinical nutrition, separating it from the other forms of, you know, study on nutrition?
Yes, because before somebody tells you you have to lose weight for 7 days or 14 days, before they give you a supplement that you're supposed to lose weight within a very short period of time, you must always ask them, you know, whether they understand a body, you know, like, let me say, anatomy of a person. Are they able to treat anatomy of a human being? Because it's not about selling a supplement. It's not about losing the weight, because there are people who will lose weight and they will lose it in a very awkward manner. So we say, when we talk of clinical nutrition, we understand the disease, the diagnosis, we treat a client as according to what they are going through, we understand the root cause, and then we give you a diet as according to the medical condition that is affecting you. So that is basically what clinical nutrition is. So what then is the place of, you know, hormones, you know, and the balance and all that in terms of weight gain and weight loss? One, it's always good to understand that as a clinical nutritionist, you must understand what hormones are first, because I would say that, let me first of all start by defining hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers. Just the way, let's say you'd have a messenger, you said somebody, you know, certain information, or maybe take for me this thing to a certain place, or like DHL, you get it, whereby they'll take something you've sent them to somebody else. So hormones are chemical messengers, and I would say that they are sent by a system we call the endocrine system. You get it? Because they are produced by glands that are found in our endocrine system. So when we talk of hormones being chemical messengers, it means that they are sending information. You see the way we talk about signals, they are sending information. Have I eaten? Am I full? You see, that is the work of hormones in the system. Do I have a lot of hair? Do I have, is my hair falling? You see, do I have less hair? You know, a lot of information sent by hormones. That means that being chemical messengers, they will react on, you know, like everything. They will tell us when we are okay, when we are not okay. So that means that we require to understand what kind of hormone, a hormone imbalance issue do we have, so that now we are able to understand hormone balancing.
So then when you are talking to a lady or to a man, you will first understand them from that aspect. Would you say that people have different metabolism? And of course, when I'm saying metabolism, someone might be wondering what is the place of metabolism, or what is metabolism in its place in terms of weight? First, its importance, or it's whatever in nutrition.
So first, metabolism, just for a layman to understand, because, you know, metabolism has been talked about so many times, and I would say that talking of hormones and metabolism, we said hormones are chemical messengers that send information. You know, they signal like there's something okay, there's something not okay in the system. That is the work. But now, in linking it with metabolism, first of all, metabolism is how long does the nutrient you take, how long do they take to be converted to energy? How long does the nutrient you take, you know, take to be converted to energy? Because there are some people who have very, very slow metabolism, and that affects everything in the system. It can cause hormonal imbalances. So you see there is a link between our slow metabolism and hormones as well. And all these, we will now talk about how do we treat hormonal imbalances, somebody with a slow metabolism, metabolism, because metabolism is something that we really need to focus on. I say it's a powerhouse of our system. If our metabolism is low, it affects everything in the system. You get? If metabolism is high, we are in a better position. If metabolism is low, then it means that even losing weight becomes very difficult because there is a slow metabolism. So we are supposed to deal with metabolism first before we even start thinking of anything else. So that is why we have to always take the test that we call metabolic test, so that we see how is your metabolism. Let's say like Linda, you're 40 years, but your organs are functioning like somebody who is 65 years. Somebody is 60, on the inside we see that the organs are functioning like someone who is 80, you know. So those are some of the things that really shock clients when they come. But of course there is how we handle this so that somebody does not say, you mean my inside is older than I look. It is not about being older. The best way to explain metabolism, we said, how long does the nutrient you take, you know, how long do they take to be converted to energy? So if it is slow, then that's why we say, like if 40 and you're 40 and then it says you're 60, then we say it's slower with 20 years. You get it? So we need to do something to ensure that we bring our metabolism back to normal.
Wow.
Yes.
I hope you've learned clinical nutrition, metabolism, you know, hormones and all that in its relation to weight and, you know, weight gain. So if you're tuning in tonight, welcome to the show. Please tell us where you're watching us from. Give us your feedback. Send in your questions. We will be able to read them and also answer some of the questions at the tail end of the show. So now, someone would be wondering, so then what causes, we've talked about metabolism and hormones in its significance to weight. So how can one, which areas do we look at in regard to nutrition? Some of the things that would cause someone to gain weight if they don't take care of themselves.
One, I would say that, you see, those basics of clinical nutrition, before we give you any form of diet plan, or let me say meal plan, for those who call it meal plan, we must first of all understand, you know, your psychology. We must understand where you're coming from. We must understand whether this person is stressed up, you know, because if you're stressed up, remember also, there are hormones produced when, of course, when somebody is stressed up, we are dealing with cortisol. Hormone is very, very disturbed. Of course, it's very high. And then when somebody is happy, we have the adrenaline, you know, levels are, you know, the serotonin, the what we call the feel-good hormones. And they all affect a hormone in the system and cause hormonal imbalances. So when somebody wants to deal with metabolism, deal with the hormone balancing, we must first of all focus on a few things, like now stress. We have to always know whether this person is coming from a stressful situation, because there is no diet that works. I keep on telling people this every day. There is no diet that works when somebody is stressed up, because when some people are stressed up, they will eat too much. And others, when they are stressed up, they will not eat at all, or they will skip a meal. Now, what happens with clinical nutrition is just to understand that when those who are stressed up and they eat too much, they tend to gain the weight. You get? And those who don't eat or they skip a meal, they build up bad acidity. There is a level whereby when your stomach stays for so long without feeding, hydrochloric acid stops helping you and now start harming you, because there is also more other acids that are being produced in the system, because this person has stayed for so long without eating. And of course, I'm sure we'll also talk about now the issue of fasting and nutrition, because it's also very important, so that at least they are also able to know it will also affect all these things. So we start from stress management, understanding how you behave during a stressful situation. And if it's not a case of clinical nutrition, we understand that if it's chronic stress, because there are questions we ask you before the session, or maybe if you're doing an online session, we'll always ask somebody to fill in some document so that we see whether they are dealing with chronic stress. So they must first of all see a psychologist before they come to a nutritionist. For nutrition. Yes,
of course, now if you're stressed, that will affect your sleep. So now let's talk about, you know, timings when you
Okay.
because I know that's a major thing when it comes to nutrition.
Yeah.
What are the best times to eat, you know, how to eat, you know?
Yeah, timing and frequency of feeding is I would say after stress you deal with now the timing and the frequency of feeding. Timing and frequency of feeding affect metabolism. It can make your metabolism to go high or to go low, which will affect your hormones. So you see, it's a whole cycle. This one affects this because there is a behavior in your life probably that you've been doing, like you've not been taking breakfast, you've not been taking lunch, or you've not been taking dinner. Then your metabolism shifts to the wrong side. Your body is not taking enough nutrient that it requires in a day, because remember, as according to our body composition, we are supposed to understand how much calories do we require, you know, because we are not supposed to get a meal plan online and say follow this one. Linda, Banice and John, we follow this one meal plan and we are all going to lose weight. You know, it's not a, you know, like a one fit all kind of a thing. So we are supposed to look into this is Linda, this is your body composition, this is your timing and the frequency of feeding, and this is how it's going to affect you. Because if your timing is not okay, then it means that your metabolism and hormones also are not going to be balanced. So what we do is we follow something we call a circadian rhythm, which this some people will call it circadian rhythm, others will call it circadian rhythm, depends with their teacher. But I always say that when you understand the natural process of a human being, and again also let me just a little bit go back to the Bible and say that clinical nutrition follows the naturals. And that is why sometimes you find that there is a fight between clinical nutritionists and people who are doing the wrong things because they are not coming from the point of understanding the human anatomy. And when you don't understand the human anatomy, you're not doing it in the right way. You get it? So timing and frequency of feeding, in the morning when you wake up, we say make sure you take breakfast before 9. Let's say if you woke up at 5, make sure by 9 you are done with your breakfast. By 9 latest. Because if you now start doing your breakfast, let's say 10 going forward, that is a totally different kind of a diet, which we'll probably mention later. We have your 11 or 10, you can probably do a fruit. Any type of fruit that you're supposed to be taking. Remember, also fruit are taken as according to a medical condition, because there are those there are those that we eliminate according to somebody's medical issue. So again, when you are having a meal plan, there is a guide of the timing and the frequency of feeding. So for lunch, make sure by 2 p.m. you're done with lunch. Then at around 4, there is a snack you're taking. You can do a tablespoon of nuts and a fruit, you know, and also water as well. So you look for time whereby after 2 hours you're doing your snacking as well. Then again, dinner, make sure you're not taking dinner past let me say 7 p.m.
Now you know you are affecting some Africans.
I know.
So breakfast by 9 a.m.
Yes.
Lunch by 2 p.m. Then dinner by 7 p.m. In between you can snack.
You can snack.
Not eat.
Not eat. Snack. Snack, you can take a fruit and a cup of water, of course. Let's say you can take a cup of tea. Somebody may, according to your medical condition and what you're dealing with, you can either take a cup of tea and maybe a cup of porridge, you know. So there's nothing wrong taking porridge is a snack as well at 10 or at 4, because I know also there is some stereotype about porridge and the tea and everything. So long as you factor into the portion, you don't need to worry about what you are taking at what time. We
welcome all those who are watching tonight. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. I can see Wilberforce, Busolo, Janet and Olunga already on set learning. Now, I know when we're talking about timings and by 9, by 2 and by 7, let's talk about now the portions or you know, the balances in terms of you know, food on your plate. What are some of the factors that someone needs to look at?
I'm sure the viewers, lawyers in the house, you know, I'm sure I'll never be your friend, but we'll still at least get something tonight. Don't take your ugali your portion, your neighbor's portion, you know, like you don't just have, you know, carbohydrates too much in your plate. So what we look into is trying to find balance, you know. When we find balance, it means that we're also trying to balance the insulin levels as well. So when you're getting onto a diet, you're trying to see how can you balance your lifestyle so that everything is a balance, you know, just the way you talk about work-life balance, even in meals, there's supposed to be a balance, you get it? Whereby when you talk of portion control, according to your body composition, that is, kids should eat different portions. We talk about teenagers should eat different portions, adults should eat different portions as according to their body composition. When I talk of body composition, I mean like there's a test that we do as clinical nutritionists where we take your height, your weight, your age, you know, your muscle mass, we take all those things, your accommodation and so forth, and then now we come up with the calories required for you in a day, so that we know you're supposed to do 1200 calories, another person should do 1400 calories, another one 1800, another one 2000. There are people even who take over 2200 calories. So it depends on also the activity factor. So portion control depends with the activity factor of a person, the age of a person, and the stage of life as well. Yes.
So is there maybe a generic or a blanket type of portion? I know there's the feast, and I don't know what in terms of your plates. Is there a generic or a standard kind of portioning of your food?
I would say when you talk about a feast, you know, feast size of your feast size in terms of carbohydrate and protein feast size, I would say it's somewhat outdated. Simply because this is what you used to use as clinical nutritionist when you're trying to draw to a client who has diabetes, you know. But now if I tell you to take carbohydrate according to your feast, how do you measure the feast? You see, we have to narrow down and ask somebody, how do I measure this feast? Because the question that used to come, especially now that you're in the private practice, the question coming is like, how do I know my feast size? You know, because how will you put, you know, your feast to know that this is, you know, you get what I mean? So now what we came up with is like portion control in terms of cups, in terms of like spoons. So I can tell you like to do a tablespoon of nuts, I can tell you do half cup of carbohydrate. According to your body composition, I can tell you the standard cup we use to measure food is a 250 ml cup. So when I tell you take 3/4 of that cup, you already know that cooked rice, this is the 3/4, and you already know cooked beans, this is half cup. So we use the standard cup to measure the portions as well, according to somebody's body composition. So the feast size is usually more on diabetes when you're trying to explain to a layman to just understand, but we narrow down further to explain to them how do you measure the feast size. Yes.
How about the place of age? Because with age, you know, as people advance, the metabolism, at least, I think it slows down. What should some, especially for people in their 40s, you know, 40s and above, I think the metabolism in the body really, you know, takes a down low. What are some of the key areas that someone who is approaching this age or is in this age bracket and above do so that they ensure they don't gain too much weight all of a sudden because of slow metabolism?
When it comes to age, we say let's start early. Let's start early, because when you start at the age of 30, let me say you're giving yourself like around 10, let's say 10 to 15 years to live a healthy lifestyle, whereby by the time you're getting to 45, you're not having a lot of hormonal imbalances, you see, as a woman, and again, you're not having a lot of metabolism issues, and you see with hormonal imbalances, which of course, let's say we have issues with thyroid or estrogen or progesterone, that is when now we start having, you know, like ovarian cysts, like fibroids, and then now you will require a nutritionist to give you a diet that will help you reduce on the cyst or the fibroids and the stuff. So what I would want to say is that we have to always look into some of the things that are non-modifiable, because age is a non-modifiable factor. we must all age, we will all age.
Yeah.
You see, so it's a non-modifiable
yeah.
factor, and why we talk about genetic, you know, like we talk of genetic, there is genetic makeup in terms of nutrition and understanding that part, but we say start early so that by the time we are aging gracefully. And people who are already at 45, 50 or even 60, I've seen somebody, not even one, followed a diet plan properly. They have made sure that everything is right that you tell them, but they have stopped medication for diabetes and hypertension. They are totally not on drugs and they are 65 years old. Others are 60 years old. I've seen 60 to 65 years not using medication after having used drugs for 2 to 5 years. So that tells you, like, diet really works when you understand somebody and trying to change, you know, everything in terms of the timing and so forth and so forth. So age is all about when you know you're not eating well and this is your age, then now we start. You get, because the best time to start is now, you know. There is no best time. Of course, if you didn't have this information before, then now you have the information, then we start following a proper diet. So there is always a chance for everyone, to make changes.
Wow, that's awesome. We apologize to our Facebook viewers who've been watching through Facebook. There has been an interruption on our feed. So we apologize for that, but we are working to restore the feed on Facebook. We want to appreciate all those who are watching on YouTube. I can see Jacqueline Mukui saying, by using this kind of diet plan, will it not lead to obesity? I don't know which diet plan she's referring to, but maybe Jacqueline, could you please tell us which one that is? Sheila says, I am learning here. Unfortunately, I'm taking my dinner past 7 p.m. We have seen you. Please go back to before 7. Then there's Nahashon Muchuka says he is listening. Thank you so much, Nahashon. Looking at the other page, Olunga Jr. says, I have tried to get fat eating a lot of eggs, protein, but nothing comes. I need a body with stamina. We will do a show specifically for you. Janet Wairimu says, watching my fellow nutritionist from Utawala. I think this is your friend. Busolo says, watching from Runda. And Wilberforce also saying, watching. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. So we are going to go on a short break. And I think when we come back, you could explain to us the importance of vegetables in brief in our meals, and then also we look at the lifestyle diseases and the different diet plans that have been trending over time. That is intermittent fasting, this keto diet. Are these clinical nutrition or it's not, so that we are able to learn, all of us, and no one is thrown off the bus. So please send in your questions and your feedback. We will get back to them after the break. And tonight you're watching Clinical Nutrition and Weight Loss. Thank you so much for staying tuned. We are going to go on a break, but don't go anywhere. See you in a few.
Explore a world of knowledge at Elevation Bookshop. Dive into topics like marriage, money, and spiritual growth with our vast reading materials. But that's not all. We are thrilled to introduce new additions like stationeries, notebooks, modeling clay, dictionaries, pencils, kamusi, and more. And calling all students, gear up for success with our back-to-school items, providing you with everything you need to excel in every subject. At Elevation Bookshop, we're here to assist you in finding the perfect resources for your journey. Do you have specific preferences or looking for something special? Visit us at Kenya Cinema Plaza, mezzanine floor, or contact us on 0748 902 225. Elevation Bookshop. Enrich your life.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying tuned. We appreciate you. Once again, I'd like to ask you to send in your feedback and questions so that we can be able to answer them at the tail end of this show. And I believe in the first segment you've learned something. I've seen several people rioting about the 7 p.m. Dinner thing. I know many people are used to eating at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., some even eat at midnight. But today we've had breakfast before 9, lunch before 2, and then dinner, not before 2, but by 2, then dinner by 7 p.m. So that, I think, so that your body has enough time to digest and, take in everything, so that when you go to sleep, your stomach is not, rioting. So our Facebook viewers, we once again apologize for the interruption that we had earlier, but we are now back. Thank you so much. You can just send that emoji that says this so that we know that you are catching us live and, clear. So in the first segment, we talked much about, what nutrition is, its importance, the balance, the timings, the age, and all that in terms of nutrition. I know many people are not usually keen on vegetables, because we love our carbohydrates, rice, ugali, and all that. We love our beans and all that. But what is the key, or what is the role of vegetables in our diet? Maybe in just 1 minute.
One thing is that we need to understand that vegetables are fiber. They give us fiber that will give us a sense of fullness, because if you take vegetables, you will stay for long before you even feel like you're hungry. And we are looking for that thing that will cause satiety, like you're full. That sense of fullness, we feel it in the system. And because when you take carbohydrate and protein alone, then it means that there is not enough fiber that will keep you for long, before the next meal. And again, remember, vegetables are very good. The fiber will help to balance blood pressure levels. It will help to balance blood sugar levels. It will help to improve metabolism. It will also help to improve digestion. And also remember, we talked about hormone and weight loss. So looking to for hormonal balancing, we need to ensure that we are taking the right vegetables as well, according to, of course, our condition, because there are some vegetables some people cannot take according to what they are suffering from. Let's say if somebody has ulcers or acidity or other issues. Now, when it comes to also vegetables, we need to learn the times we need to take those vegetables. Breakfast also, if we can, we try to do vegetables for breakfast. No matter, let me say that if you're very busy, we can always look for ways of cooking these vegetables. Like let me give an example: a carrot and a carrot, cucumber, and a tomato. Another time, you would take a red bell pepper and probably a courgette. You cut into small pieces. You can steam it very little, a very few minutes, and then now you can do that as your breakfast vegetable when you're doing your sandwich or when you're doing your arrowroot and everything else. Because if you're told this thing is supposed to help you lose weight, it is giving you, the sad sense of fullness, so that you're not eating every other time. It is also improving your metabolism, regulating your blood pressure and sugar. Then it means it's very important in the system.
What about wheat? That's 30 seconds, because I know Kenyans, we love bread for breakfast, and or pancakes or buns or whatever. What is the role of wheat in terms of weight? Where is wheat in terms of weight loss?
I know wheat has been demonized.
Demonized.
In so many places and so many other speakers as well. But what I say is a clinical nutrition does not eliminate food. That is what we all need to understand. It doesn't eliminate foods. What it does is trying to understand what you require according to your condition. So when you eliminate food, it means that you're eliminating a certain nutrient that is supposed to be important in your system. So what I'll tell people is focus on whole wheat. Focus on whole wheat, and then you reduce the times you're taking it. Because the problem we have, let me say, as Kenyans, myself before before even I did nutrition, I could say that like when we were in Shags, we could take bread like four times a 4 times a week, and then the rest of the days you do sweet potatoes or arrowroot. One thing is people don't understand balance. Instead of doing wheat every day, you can, because you need the nutrient in every other food. As we said, we don't do elimination in clinical nutrition. What you're supposed to do is Monday, if I give you bread, don't take bread on Tuesday, because if you take bread Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, by Friday, the nutrients that are in that wheat are going to be very high in your system. You get that? So that is the essence whereby, and again, remember, when you take just refined wheat, it will cause sugars to raise very quickly, since it's a simple sugar, you know. So what you're trying to look for is complex carbohydrates and bread, you know, white bread and color bread, let me not say brown bread, you know, they will, of course, they are all simple sugars. So they are processed, and we need to try limit the intake of that, so that we put whole in our diet, and then the rest of the days we can now replace with a different carbohydrates, like arrowroot, sweet potato, like cassava. We can do like plantain. We can have even bananas, you know, green bananas. Somebody can boil, and you just steam, you fry with very little oil, like have a teaspoon, and you feel good as you're eating it. So just trying to see what is available for you.
So thank you. I know people today are going to check their shelves and have to, you know, change some of the stuff. Now, in the recent past, there was introduction of diets, especially, you know, in Kenya. There was intermittent fasting and keto diet. What's your comment in this in regard to clinical nutrition and weight loss? What's their place?
Okay, when it comes to clinical nutrition, as we say, there is no elimination. I recognize fasting being something that is a very good practice. Fasting is a very good practice when it comes to nutrition. Now, as we narrow down to intermittent fasting, I will never encourage anybody who has never tried intermittent fasting to do intermittent fasting. There is a specific group of people who are supposed to do intermittent fasting, and immediately you correct what you're correcting in the system, then you go back to the normal diet, because intermittent fasting, you know, sometimes some diets become very psychological. Let's say I give you intermittent, you know, an intermittent diet, you want to lose weight or something, then you end up having very low insulin levels as well, because we did not get to understand your body composition and what your body requires. Because we say when you look into a one size fit all approach, it never works for clinical nutrition. So that is why we say if we are correcting something, we can correct for a short period of time, then we go back to the normal diet, so that it doesn't become psychological, because intermittent fasting can become psychological. There are people who've come to me and they started intermittent fasting, then when they went back to the normal diet, because they could go on Saturday out, or maybe somebody invite you to a wedding, and then they are starting to eat, and you cannot eat at the time they are eating. So that becomes psychological. So clinical nutrition cannot take you to diseases. It must make sure it brings a balance to nutrient in your system, wholeness. And when we talk of nutritional fasting, is the one that starts from 6:30 or 7 in the evening to the following day. You know, that means that you can count like 12 to 14 hours.
And that's when you're sleeping.
And that is when you, let's say you are awake like 3 to 4 hours before you sleep, and then the time you're sleeping is 8 hours. When you wake up 2 hours again, you know, like let's say you woke up at 5, you can take your breakfast by around 7 a.m. or if you woke up at 7, by 9 you make sure you've already taken breakfast. That also is counted as nutritional fasting as well. Fasting, that is when fasting becomes good for nutrition, but not when you prolong it too long to a level whereby now it's giving you acidity and the system requires more nutrient at a different time as well.
So then what you're saying is that intermittent fasting and keto was for a targeted group of maybe patients, and then after some time, after they correct that thing, someone is supposed now to go back to now what you call clinical nutrition.
Absolutely.
It's not supposed to be a long-term you know, process of weight loss and balancing your weight.
Yes.
Wow, that's
and again also keto diet was not started for weight loss. The idea of the people that started the keto diet, whereby I always see people do keto diet and then later on somebody has very high cholesterol, somebody comes with high blood pressure, because they were doing a lot of protein without even a balance. They were doing a lot of fat without even a balance. So, and you have to ask yourself what kind of client is supposed to do this type of a diet. You get it? So in that form, we say for keto, in most cases it was started for people with mental disorder like epilepsy. You get it? That is what worked then, and so everybody who tried to eliminate a certain diet, they lost weight and now they started using the same diet. So we say it's not for everybody. If you are correcting something, we always narrow down to what are we correcting, then how do we now jump to a clinical diet so that now somebody lives a proper lifestyle.
Wow. So we have heard from a clinical nutritionist that intermittent fasting, keto diet, and I know there are so many diets out there, were meant for a targeted group of people to correct a certain issue, then they were to go back to a normal kind of diet. So it's not for a long time. It's not a long-term solution, but rather a short-term solution. So I believe you have, picked one or two things. And I can see some questions here. Someone is saying, what is your take? It's addressed to you. What is your take on the use of supplements to aid in losing weight? That is thermogenic supplements. Would she recommend it to be used together with diet plan and working out? I am also a nutritionist and we appreciate what she's doing in the field. Thank you so much, George. I think we'll also address the issue of eggs and weight gain in the next after the short break, because we are going to go on a break. When we come back from the break now, we are going to answer all the questions that you have been having here on Facebook and YouTube. The 7 p.m. people are still rioting. George says he's watching from Umoja, sending your shout out to Banice and to you, Linda. Thank you so much. You have been doing a great job as a clinical nutritionist. Naomi Dietitian says following keenly from Bungoma County. Nice job. Thank you so much, Joyce. We appreciate you. We are going to go on a short break, but when we come back, we are going to respond to some of the questions that you have sent here on the set. See you in a few. Don't go anywhere.
Every man of God must remain focused in the ministry.
A pastor needs prayer, care, love, and encouragement.
You have to have a mentor, someone you can be able to obey, to love, to submit to.
What these pastors and leaders should do to create the right culture.
The most powerful thing a pastor can do to his people is teach them. Being accountable to an authority is not weakness, it's strength.
On Encourage a Pastor, we share real and authentic conversations that intend to give solutions to a pastor.
If there's a minister, there are character issues, don't push. Don't keep on ministering. You won't be fruitful.
In the body of Christ, certain wives have given up because probably they feel they haven't gotten the right leadership from their own husbands.
We need to learn to know our husbands after the Spirit.
I'm telling you, don't quit.
Catch Encourage a Pastor every Saturday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned to Sista Talk. Today we are discussing clinical nutrition and weight loss, because this has been an issue, especially in our nation, not only in our nation, but also globally. So in this segment, we are going to answer to your questions and feedback. So before we went on a break, Banice, George had asked, what is your take on the use of supplements for losing weight? Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to the usage of supplements, there is no supplement that supports, let me not say support, let me say there's no supplement that helps you to lose weight. But there are supplements that if we find that you have issues with metabolism, and then we look at your age, let's say if you're above 45 years, you can take a metabolic supplement when we check other deficiencies that are around also metabolism. So it is a supplement to support weight loss weight loss journey. That is like zinc. We look into zinc, we look into your magnesium levels as well, we look into your calcium, you know, we also look into your muscle mass, you get it, because again, we have to really factor into muscle mass percentage for when somebody is also gaining or even losing weight. So any supplement for weight loss, I would say, there is no supplement that will work to reduce your fat. Just go do exercise, start on a diet, reduce your portions, work on your timing and the frequency of feeding, work on your stress, work on all other things, you know, the psychology, work-life balance, you know, and all the things that you've talked about. And then before we even start saying that there's a supplement to lose weight and, you know, all those things.
I know there are those, the catchy things online. Apart from supplements, they'll also talk about some kind of teas that when you drink, or some sort of, you know, drinks that when you take, it will help to reduce belly fat. You know, they use that to attract women. The question I always ask them is, if you talk on this tea, would you talk about this tea without speaking about diet? If the answer is no, then it means that diet comes first. So diet is 80%, exercise is 20%. The rest of the things we check now the deficiencies. So those are some of the supplements that can support your weight loss journey, especially if you have diabetes, if you have hypertension, you know, if you have cancer and so forth. So it's not a supplement to reduce your fat. It is looking into your minerals and then how to balance those minerals. As you start on a weight loss journey, you're starting with a balance of nutrients in the system. Wow, that's I think that's well answered. Someone is also asking if they have acidity, what are some of the foods that they should consider in their diets to aid them in that issue?
Okay, mostly with acidity, we also have to look at metabolism, because when metabolism is low, somebody will tend to have a lot of acidity, and then again we look into if the digestion process is slow because metabolism is slow, then now acidity also builds up in the system. Then this issue of acidity is also the things that we take. Fats also affect acidity. So when we talk of deep fried food, you know, and fried foods with a lot of oil, and then again we talk about, you know, the chips and the chicken fried that we are taking, even the skin, you know, chicken skin, a lot of oil and so forth. So those are some of the things we are supposed to look into, because fat is not afraid to anybody with issues of acidity. So we have to look into fat. We have to look into foods that can trigger acidity, like acidic fruits, you know. We can talk about limiting the intake of lemon as well. We limit the intake. And I said in clinical nutrition, we don't eliminate. We look, avoid, limit, look at the condition and see what am I going to adjust in this person's diet, so that whatever total wellness they are looking for, they are able to achieve everything in one, in the same diet that they are getting. So in terms of acidity, we also look into fruit. Any fruit that, let's say like pineapples, that can cause a high acidity. And again, advising somebody to listen to their body. You know, the way we talk about being an intuitive eater, whereby you're listening to your body. When you're full, you know you're full. You don't continue. You get when when you're not full, you're hungry, you're supposed to listen to your body and take something. You get. So that is what we call an intuitive eater, whereby you are supposed to listen to your body, see how your body reacts. When you stay for long without feeding and you have acidity, that's another problem. You skipping meals with acidity is also another problem, because acidity doesn't like somebody who is hungry as well. So you have to keep grabbing something that will, you know, like will dilute the acidity in the stomach as well. So there are so many things around acidity, and the last one around acidity that person is supposed to focus on is stress as well, because stress also can cause very high acidity levels in the system.
Wow. Yeah. I know there's a friend of mine who says she has an issue of C. The problem is called C. When she sees food, she eats less. She wanted to know if there's a solution for that, but I know she was just kidding. Someone here has an issue with joints. When they walk, their joints kind of crack. Or make that crackling sign kind of sound. And I'm assuming you understand that, right?
Yes.
Then she was referred to by her doctor to go and check on her diet, the kind of food she should eat. What should this person do?
I believe such kind of a person, probably they were told it's either gout, or they were told it's arthritis, you know, rheumatoid arthritis. Somebody was told osteoporosis or osteoarthritis, whichever. But in most cases, we look into weight, number one, because weight really carries a lot of, you know, lifestyle diseases. And so because it's just like, this is a pen, and then you put a lot of load, you know, on top of this pen. What will happen to this pen? Definitely it falls. So what happens in this kind of people, we have to first of all advise them on losing the weight first. When you lose the weight, then we look into what nutrients are we supposed to balance in the system. Is it the zinc? Is it the magnesium? And number three, a very important, you know, like supplement that I would say it is for everybody, sick or not sick, omega-3 fatty acids. So that person is also supposed to be on an omega-3. We need to check their vitamin D levels and see what foods, like egg yolk, like cereals, you know, like let's talk of the seeds as well, like chia seeds. What can we add into this diet that is high in vitamin D that we can also help them? Because one supplement, I didn't demonize supplementation. I said we give as according to somebody's condition, and we must be very understanding to know, because there are so many supplements out here and people are taking without a guide. So that's why some people, when they hear of joint pains and everything else, somebody runs for calcium, another one will go for vitamin D, but they have not gone to the lab to see whether the D levels are low or the calcium levels are low. And that is where now clinical nutrition comes in, because I cannot treat you, I cannot give you a diet without having your medical test. Now that is the difference between any nutritionist and a clinical nutrition. I have to analyze your medical test, see how do I balance your D levels, how do I balance your calcium, how do I balance your zinc, magnesium, and how much in terms of milligram do I give you, if at all I have to give you an omega-3 fatty acid.
Wow.
Yes.
That's great. So you are not dealing it on a blanket kind of basis, but you have to have the details before you know, prescribing something. Now another lady here asked, she's single, you know, singles don't like cooking. So she's asking, in terms of her diet, is doing 2 meals a day okay? Maybe breakfast and lunch, or breakfast and dinner. And how can she ensure that her diet is good to sustain her for the 2 meals?
One, that person needs to focus on balance, the balance of meals. If you take 2 meals, have you taken all the calories that your body composition requires in a day? That is the first question you need to ask yourself. Because if you take 1,200 calories in those 2 meals, the first meal you took 600, the second meal you took 600, so that is a total of 1,200, and your body composition requires 2,000 in that day. That means you have a deficiency of some minerals and vitamins that are very key to your body system. So that tells you that you will grow, or you will age in diseases, because any deficiency you have by lacking a certain meal or by not having the normal calories required in a day causes you a condition in future. That's why we say if somebody has D levels low or calcium low for a very long time, they may start having, like back pain, like joint pains, like as that person already said that they're having some pain, joint pain and the rest. Those are usually mineral deficiencies that come because somebody is not eating enough of the minerals required in their system as according to their body composition. So that is something we need to look at. And you cannot eat all 2,000 calories in one meal. And that's now takes us back to a kind of diet called OMAD diet. These diets are started
one
by,
meal a
let
day.
me say, I will really not fear to say this as a clinical nutritionist, that some diets are started for people to make money out here. And it's a very sad thing because anything to do with weight loss, everybody want to monetize, and which becomes very bad because you cannot monetize on somebody's body. You have to tell somebody this is what is required for you, and I would want to see you. You see, you're happy as a human being to see another human being is doing well. You get it. But when you come to me, I want you to have the very quickest way in terms of losing weight. I give you a 1 meal a day. Your body does not understand compensation. It just takes what it requires. So the rest, it will convert it into fat. So that means that if you take 1 meal a day and all the calories you require in that moment, the body will only take what it requires at that point. Then the rest, it will convert it into very high fat, high calorie. You get? And then now you start having issues in terms of the future hormonal imbalances, slow metabolism, because there are meals you're not taking. For the person taking 2 meals a day, you can reduce the third meal by either doing some vegetables, salad. You see, if you don't want to take, those main meals for dinner, you can do vegetable salad, some nuts, just the dry protein, maybe a cup of yogurt for your protein in the evening, and some vegetable salad and so forth. If you don't want to do dinner, that is if you did your breakfast and your lunch. As we go up, we reduce meals as we're going up, as the day goes by, right?
Wow. Thank you so much. I believe our viewers have been thoroughly answered in terms of the questions that they had raised. We want to thank you so much for staying tuned to the show. Thank you so much, Banice, for the wealth of knowledge and, guiding us on the area of nutrition. And I believe some of them might reach out to you. Do you have maybe a social media handle or some way they can reach you? So, I know you've also written a book.
Okay, so I've written a book called The Power of Clinical Nutrition in the Marketplace. 3 years ago, it's a published book in Kenya. It's in the Kenya National Library. You can also find it when you call me, that is. So definitely you get my contact. And then now you can also look for Neo Nutrition Solutions Limited. We have programs that we do. Currently, we are having a 30-day weight loss and wellness program, which is 2,500 in a month. We are currently helping people to lose weight, those who are sick, in a healthy manner, and also trying to adjust their timing and the frequency of feeding. So every Monday we train them, and every day we share stuff in the WhatsApp group, whereby they can learn unlimited learning, so long as you've paid the 2,500. So I believe that when you look for Neo Nutrition Solutions Limited, you call us. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are also in all. Let me
so
say
you are
also
on all social media
we are also on TikTok.
Wow, thank you so much, Banice, for that information. We'd like to remind you also to follow us on our social media platforms, that is Elevate TV, both Facebook, YouTube, across the social media platforms. And when you find Linda J. Talam, also follow. So thank you so much. We'll see you again next Thursday. God bless you and have a good night and a whole body.
Thank you.
God bless. Good night.
Bless you.
Welcome to Kids Arise.
So God created man in his own image.
Today's class